Good evening, TheoTrade. This is Corey Rosenblum, and you're watching the Theo Nightly video for the 26th of August here in 2020. And some days just sort of leave you breathless. Some days you'll remember for a long time, and it's possible this is one of them. And the top question is, of course, is this the blow off top? Is this the top in the market? It is easy to look at the tech sector, and we're looking at the S&P right now, but in the Nasdaq, to look at this and say, oh yeah, it absolutely is the top of the market. And for those short in the market, it's just a tough day, and probabilities play out more than not. But today, the volatility dropped, the market rose. In fact, the VIX, to be honest, was up 5%. So it's very, very easy to take a look at some of the top trending names, and they are those tech sectors. That includes a remarkable performance, 11% in Netflix, Adobe up 10%, 9%, Facebook, which is a huge market cap name, up 8%. But look at the little gap. So from there you have a almost 3% move in Amazon, the Google, and other stocks that are up strong today. Before we start talking scans, we'll take a look at this. It is still, nothing really has changed. Yes, this is a dramatic day. Yes, this is quite the emotional day, TheoTrade, but this is a tale of two markets. It's a bifurcated market, as Professor Bierman and Don continue to remind us. You might be looking at the market saying, what are you talking about? I'm doing well with my short positions. But if you're trading these high-flying names and you're shorting them, that's probably not your experience. So I'm going to try to speak to both camps, both perspectives of those doing well with short or bearish positions, and then maybe those doing well with bullish positions. Think boring names like McCormick and stocks that keep making new 52-week highs that are not called Facebook, Amazon, Google, and the rest of them. There's 495 other stocks that are doing, in some cases, completely separate things. And I want to speak to those of you who are doing well within that framework. I also do want to take a moment to discuss those that are shorting and the market keeps going higher. Keep in mind that markets move on probabilities, supply, demand. This is a short-term thing. This is a temporary thing. And this is not the first time this has happened. Think tech bubble or financial crisis where the markets moved and moved and moved. It didn't always make sense. But eventually things came back into balance. The tech market, 2001, 1999, despite being as crazy as it was, did actually resolve and fall 80%. The financial crisis that took the market down about 40, 45, 50% to the lows, has since recovered. This will change too. So if you're using duration positions, following Dawn into gamma iron condors or back ratios, infinity spreads, that is the correct thing to do. That is the correct bigger picture move to make. But if you're a short-term trader, it can be frustrating when things don't make sense. And if there's probably a large perspective or percent of the market participants and traders in the world, not just here on TheoTrade, that are not only scratching their head, but some of them might be throwing in the towel. And we don't want that to happen. So that's the other type of perspective that I'll be presenting. Is this, right? Things are not always perfect. The game is played with probability, and sometimes the probability comes up not in our favor, but that's what the long-term success of trading is not getting every single flip of the cards or toss of the dice or spin of the roulette wheel correct, but doing so within risk-controlled parameters. That's where the verticals come in. That's where the in-out spreads and, of course, more complicated option positions like butterflies and condors and wrist twist spreads, infinity spreads, all those. They're going to protect you long-term, but ride out this little volatile period, or maybe you might want to call it lack of volatility. And talk about Netflix. It is a strong stock getting stronger. I frequently recommend buying pullbacks or putting positions on to these strong trending stocks on pullbacks or retracements. Where to? Rising moving averages or rising trend lines. So to me, Netflix, although aggressive, does make sense, although maybe not a 11% move, still was a pro trend, uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, rising moving averages. That is in context. Adobe, still in context, still a strong stock getting stronger, but What justifies this type of action? That's a little bit crazy. Facebook, same thing. That's a little bit crazy. We would like markets to retrace. When things get overheated, that's when it gets dangerous for the longs, because the market could do this blow off top. And that's when markets do top. They don't always hit the high on gentle ringing of a bell and gentle signals of indicators. Sometimes they end on a climax, and they end in very, very strong emotions on both sides of the trading field. That means the bulls, if you're a new trader, if you're a bull, and you're making a lot of money on Facebook calls or Facebook long positions, you're doing well. But the risk to you is when Facebook turns and goes the other way and takes all your gains and more. That's a risk to the bull side. You don't need me to tell you that the risk to the short side is that Facebook keeps going higher. So the point of maximum pain for the short sellers, or the frustration, maybe that's today with capitulation, and the point of maximum confidence or supreme overconfidence for Facebook or Netflix or Amazon bulls, that's going to be the day that the market tops. On the other side, we'll flip perspective. Back to what we've been discussing, this market that's bifurcated. This continues to be our strong stocks getting stronger scan. Yes, it does include, and this is the new 52-week highs, and in most cases, new all-time highs. But also, as I continue to show you, boring stocks. And if you don't like the flash, you don't like the emotion, you don't like the risk, you don't like how this feels, there are stocks that are sneaking bullishly that aren't trading $150 a day, that are a little bit calmer, more collective, and let you trade within those parameters without the type of flash and sizzle and risk that something like a Netflix or Tesla or things like that might do. If that's your cup of tea, by all means trade those stocks. But if not, Procter & Gamble, ConAgra Brands, McCormick. We always talk about McCormick because that's a boring little stock. Other stocks are playing, and something as simple as a Lowe's or Home Depot is sneaking up there as well. This is still a strong stock getting stronger. This is still an uptrend. These are still pullbacks. This is still a trending stock. Strong stocks getting stronger. And of course, there's Amazon right there at the top too. These are retail names. Industrials would include John Deere and Grainger. And again, these are the lists you can find on the thinkorswim platform that are stocks making new 52-week highs. And the logic is that which is strong now does tend to get stronger in the future. That's a pro-trending, momentum, if you will, type of strategy. And the other type of strategy that's probably more popular to most traders is a fade or mean reversion strategy. Not all is bullish, because the Russell was down today. The Russell remains weak. Stocks like Occidental. So that's where the market, the tale of two markets. This is not just bull, 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 bull all day long. We have other stocks that are weakening, and that includes Simon Property Group and ConocoPhillips, Schlumberger, and some banking stocks like Wells Fargo, which is at or near 2020 lows. ExxonMobil is now removed from the Dow Jones, and it is expected to keep trading a little bit lower. Walgreens Boots Alliance and some other stocks just in this percent change list that are getting weaker. So I try to speak to the different groups in TheoTrade. We're not all bulls, we're not all bears. Some of us are completely neutral traders. But today was one of those moments again. We might remember this may be a blow off top. However it is, emotions were high today. Losses potentially on both sides of the market were high today. Trade another day. Trade small, trade frequently. Use the option market, use the spreads to limit your risk. Don't get caught up in ego. Don't get caught up in the market's out to get me. It's just probability. It doesn't have to make sense. But over time, small positions, risk control, that's what will keep you in the game long term. As always, be careful and safe. This is Corey Rosenblum with tonight's Theo video for August 26th, 2020.